Good morning, everyone. This morning I'm playing with three brushes, the cat's tail, cat's tongue, the filbert, and a number 8 round. These are mine. They actually will be out again this summer. So I'm just going to play with those a bit. For those of you, get those brushes out that you don't normally use and just start playing with them. I'm going to first, and by the way, I just sprayed my paints with just a little mist of water. You want to do that with your cake pans. This is the Light Wish by Paul Rubens. It's a great little palette. I love the colors. They spread. They put together some really beautiful colors. Look at these two. Aren't those interesting? Like these light, powdery blues. All those yellows, really creamy and transparent. I love it. And then I am painting on just a little inexpensive paper I'm trying out today, 140-pound cold press. Typically, I'm using Meeden 100% cotton or those wonderful little Artisto pads. So let's just start with the cat's tongue. The reason I like it is you can get this really nice chiseled edge on it. So I'm going into my paint here. I've got some of the turquoise. I mean, use whatever color you like. I have treated my tin, by the way, with a little bit of sandpaper so it doesn't beat up so much. Normally, I would use my palette. And I've got a mix here of about 50 water, 50 paint. So it moves rather well. Might even put a little bit more water. I really want it to move around my tin. Can always go darker. And pick up the paint, tap, tap, tap. And now here is where that fun begins. So this is a perfect petal shape, just like our filbert. So I'm going to go in just with the tip, holding it at about 5 o'clock, resting my hand here. And let's just look at already right there. But what I love about this brush is I can get these nice little lines. So I can put it to the side and get kind of that swoosh. And then I can go in and add in the little lines there. Point, press, swoosh. Now I'm going to go into the center there. Let's go into the center with something different. How about, let me rinse my brush. Let's just put in some pink in the center there, see what we get. So we'll get a purple. There we go. So pretty, right? Isn't that pretty to just watch? Rinse my brush again, and this can even be used for those petals. I mean, the leaves as well. Just expanding a bit here, kind of playing, making my flower bigger. I don't know, play with yours. And then let's go into the green and create some stems here. There we go. Oops, that's a little, I haven't got that in there. So I'm working with this palette now. I'm going to add in a bit more of the tree green. So it's not quite so olivey. So I'm going to use this paintbrush on its side. Remember all your brushes to use the tip, the belly, which is going to be the thickest part of your brush and give you that width, to use the side of your brush and really push and twist and pull and have some fun with it. So I'm going to go in. You want to make sure your stem is pointing to the center of the flower and just come down. And that's the beauty of this brush. You can get this really nice thin line. Adding in just a little bit more pink here. Some water, 50-50, tap, tap, tap. And now I'm going to use both the side edge of my brush and then twist it to the thicker part and use some of that belly. I do that by applying a little pressure. If I'm just very light pressure, I'm only incorporating the tip. The more pressure, it opens up that belly and I get a wider brush stroke. So tip of my brush, start twisting, opening up that brush, and then come back up on the side again. And just like I did with the petals, I can go in and kind of form out those edges. Point, press, and then come down. So you can get a lot of really fun shapes and things with this brush. Definitely worth playing with. Maybe just some little leaves. So there we go. That is that cat's tongue brush. I think pretty fun. Could even go in and darken up just a bit like this. Just using those sharp points if you want to define those leaves a little bit. And look what a pretty flower. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next brush, which is a filbert, which is always kind of my favorite for peonies. They have a perfect little peony shape. And again, you want to play with it on your side and flat, and more pressure, less pressure. Now this doesn't have a tip, so pretty much the width of the tip and the belly are about the same. Let's go ahead and go into that pink. And I'm using the width of the brush. So I create that first petal, and now going on its side too, I can get those chisel lines. So both edges of your brush are always going to be good to play with and to use to get those different shapes. Now, turning my brush on its side, I create, you know, these peonies. They have this bowl shape. There we go. And then leaves that kind of fall away from the center, but really keeping in mind that bowl shape, and you'll be good. There we go. I'm going to rinse my brush a bit, tap it off on towel, and kind of shape these out a bit more. There we go. You could even, orange is always really beautiful in there. So there's a little peony. That is perfect with this brush. I can go in with my petals. I'm sorry, my leaves on its edge. And then I start pressing, and I'm using much more of the flat part of my brush. There you go. Go ahead and use that since it's there. Just like that. And you've got your little peony. Let me create the inside. So this brush now, I'm going to use that shape of the tip here. Didn't have, let's see, here's some yellow. So we could just go in. A little bit more lemony yellow than I might normally use, and you just create that inside part. So there you go. That is this brush. A lot of fun. Love it, love it. Let's go to the good old standard round 8. If you were just going to buy one brush when you're starting out, I'd say buy the 8. You can do a lot of different things. So let's actually try and create this peony using the round brush. I can still do it, but I am going to use just a bit of the side of my brush, just like this, to create those thicker lines. So I'm pushing in to the side of my brush, like that. Again, creating this beautiful bowl shape. And all these little fluffies all around the edges. A little bit more here. Some petals falling away. Like that. Just tap in with a little bit darker, wet and wet. There we go. And then we'll create those little fluffies that go all around the edge. Okay, wash, rinse my brush, pull that out, and now I'll go in with the yellow that we used the tip of the brush for, but I can somewhat do the same here. And just add those in. So similar, but the filbert brush does make it really, really easy to create those stems and such. So point press, point press, create our little point press, just like that. Point press. And we get basically the same thing. It's just different hand movements. It's what you're used to. So try them both. But I really feel like this little filbert, it's almost like a cheat. I always say that because it just makes it so easy. I feel like I need to go in and add a little bit different values there. Could even do it there. Let me grab some more of that pink paint. So you can always add in darker values, because keep in mind our watercolors are going to dry lighter. Okay, so we're good with that. Let's try our round brush now with the turquoise flower. So again, it's just really different hand movements, but basically the same. So point, press, and I can use the tip of my brush to shape out like I did there. Let's do another one. I'm actually going to dot around my center so I can make sure all of my petals are facing in towards the middle. Point press. I can get a bit more of a picking up my paint, tap, 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 point with this, kind of that oval shape. Let's go again. Point press, just like that. So same type of feel, just working with a different brush. And you know, a lot of times I've thought, I think it's just, you know, what are you used to? When I started out years ago in college, we bought an 8 round. So that was our main brush. So I just learned how to manipulate that. I'm going to go in the middle again, just like the one above, and tap in. Now let's do that stem. So for that light stroke with the cat's tongue, I could use that tip, I could use the edge. With this, I'm only going to use light pressure. The more pressure, I'm going to open up that belly and get a thicker stroke, which is good for the leaves. So let's grab some pink or green paint and come on in. Light pressure, just getting the tip of my brush. And into these leaves, light pressure as I keep going. I open up that belly, just like that. And this one here can still get those little dabs. Point press. And here we go. Point press, point press. So very similar, just different ways of handling your brush, but play with them all and kind of see, you know, what seems to come more natural and enjoyable for you. And a lot of times it can just be what you started out with using originally and you got used to it. Play with all your different brushes though. So many fun brushes, different brush strokes. Today we use the filbert, the cat's tongue, the filbert for the peony, always my go-to for a peony. And then of course the round. This is, the filbert by the way is also a great daisy brush. Let me show you. Let's just, because it makes those long slender strokes. So can't really get dots as easily with this brush, but we can get those beautiful long petals. So let's get a little bit of yellow here in my palette, tap, tap, tap. And I'm gonna go in now and pull out, point press. Now I got too much water on my brush. That's why all of that black came out of the center. So I can just wipe my brush off and pick that up. And then let's go in tapping a little bit more, point press. Now I don't have enough. See the dry brush? Point press, point press, point press. And I can create these really fun little daisy leaves, just like that. Now, if I don't like all that black, rinse my brush, tap it off on a towel, and I can just pick it up. I can lift it right out. And there you go. All right, everybody, I hope that was kind of fun for you and you give this a try. It's, you know, the more you experiment with these, the more you're going to find your favorite brushes. So have fun with them, play, twist your brushes, and really explore. All right, I will see you soon. I'm just here to remind you, you are an artist, and I will put any supplies I have down below for you as well. Okay, happy painting.